What's up, everyone? Today we are going to learn to solve quadratic equations by completing the square. Completing the square is when we take our equation and represent it in a different form that is easier to solve. The idea of completing the square is to take our original equation and represent it as x plus a squared minus b equals 0. This means we can rearrange to get that the square of x plus a is equal to b. We can then square root both sides to get that x plus a is equal to plus or minus square root of b. Then we get that x equals negative a plus or minus the square root of b. All of this is kind of abstract, so let's do an example to make it easier to understand. We have the equation x squared plus 8x is equal to 65. The first thing we must do is rearrange our equation so that the right-hand side of our equation is 0. This means we subtract 65 from both sides to get that x squared plus 8x minus 65 is equal to 0. You may be able to spot that this is quite easy to solve by factoring, and you can also use the quadratic equation. However, for this example, let's continue completing the square. Now that we have our equation, we take the number in front of the x, known as the coefficient of x, which in this case is 8. We take half of this value, which is in this case 4. Now we add the 4 to x, giving us x plus 4, and we consider the expression x plus 4 squared. If we expand this, we get x squared plus 4x plus 4x plus 16, which is equal to x squared plus 8x plus 16. We can now subtract 16 from the expression to get rid of the plus 16 term, giving us x plus 4 squared minus 16, which is equivalent to x squared plus 8x. We can then subtract 65 from this expression, which tells us that x plus 4 squared minus 16 minus 65 is equivalent to x squared plus 8x minus 65. This is equivalent to the left-hand side of our equation, so we can replace it with x plus 4 squared minus 81, meaning that is equal to 0. So now we have the equation x plus 4 squared minus 81 is equal to 0. Firstly, we'll add 81 to both sides, which gives us that x plus 4 squared is equal to 81. For the square of some value to be equal to 81, it can be either the positive or negative square root of 81. This means that for the square of some value to be 81, it can be either positive or negative 9. Therefore, we can square root both sides of our equation to get that x plus 4 equals plus or minus 9. From here, we can subtract 4 from both sides, giving us that x is equal to negative 4 plus or minus 9. This means that either x is equal to 5 or x is equal to negative 13, and so we are done. You may have seen that we could have factored our equation into x minus 5 times x plus 13 equals 0, which would have resulted in the same solutions as completing the square. If you are wondering why we bother using completing the square, it can often be a useful method when factoring isn't easy and you want to avoid using the entire quadratic formula. Also, you can derive the quadratic formula by using a completing the square method.